Hey everyone, welcome to Southern gmoregals. I'm Elizabeth, and in our video today we have 4 budget-friendly fall DIYs. So let's jump right in and get started. For DIY number 1, I purchased this 3-pack of plastic pumpkins from the thrift store, and they were only 50 cents, so I thought that was a really good deal for 3. And then I'm using this little flower pot, and I purchased this from the Dollar Tree. It came in a 3-pack. I had these left from the spring, and all I did was spray paint this a metallic copper shade, and then I'm using some of the raffia from the Dollar Tree and my hot glue gun and just gluing that around the top of the pot just to kind of make a circle here or a little nest here on the top of the pot. And this is one of those pumpkins, and I painted this the Waverly Plaster shade, and I used some of that Waverly wax on the top to kind of fill in the ridges or give it some contrast. And this is my middle pumpkin. I painted this the Waverly chalk paint, the celery color. And for this pumpkin, I took the raffia and glued it onto the pumpkin here. I found that to be a little bit easier. And then I'm going to use my glue gun and glue the green pumpkin onto the white one. You can see here some of that Waverly wax I used on the tops of both of those pumpkins. And then I just repeated this step for the top pumpkin here. I used the pumpkin shade of Waverly chalk paint and use some of the white wax there on top of that pumpkin. I used some of the raffia again and used my glue gun and glued that onto the bottom of the pumpkin before gluing that onto the green pumpkin. And I didn't mention, but the white pumpkin and the green one, I just pulled their little stems, came right out. They're plastic, and you could keep those if you think you're going to disassemble this and use it again. And then I just left the stem there in the top pumpkin there in the orange one. And I got my inspiration for this little topiary or these stacked pumpkins from Hobby Lobby. I saw that they had something really similar but on a larger scale, and they had some black kind of speckled onto the pumpkins, and I really liked the way that looked. So I just took a large chunky brush from the Dollar Tree and took some black paint and speckled that onto the pumpkins here. Love the way this looked together with the different shades of the pumpkins, and then with a little black speckled on there, also with the raffia, giving it some neutral colors. A really simple design, only cost me 50 cents where I had to purchase the little pumpkins. And you can purchase pumpkins this size from the Dollar Tree too. They have a couple little packs, or you can use something on a much larger scale, a bigger design, even to put something outdoors. And this will follow you right along through Halloween, fall, and then into Thanksgiving. So we're going to move on to DIY number 2. Now DIY number 2 is starting off with one of my little owls here, and I found this from the Dollar Tree. He's really cute. I really like the color that he is here and the way that he's painted, but I wanted to try something different. I thought I could make him, he has some great little texture there of his little feathers, so I wanted to try to bring out some of that texture. And I originally painted him this color, this espresso brown color. I thought he'd look great dark, but once I got him dark here, I really didn't like the color. I tried to use some of the white wax to kind of accentuate his little feathers and things, and I just didn't like the way that it turned out. So after painting him dark, I took an ivory silk spray paint and I painted him white. If you're new here to Southern gmoregals, we want to welcome you to our channel. If you're already subscribed, we want to say thank you. We really appreciate anyone supporting our channel. If you're new, we'd love to have you hit that red subscribe button and follow us on Instagram and get some sneak peeks of our upcoming videos. And we're participating today in Heidi Sonboul's DIY Fall Challenge. So we have all fall DIYs in our video today. Check out Heidi's channel is listed down in our description box. We want to say thank you for her for hosting the challenge. Also, check out the playlist is listed down in our description box and the other great YouTubers that have videos in the Fall Challenge today. So here's my little owl where he's white. He's still really cute. I'm just using one of the large chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree and some of the Waverly antiquing wax, and just trying to hit some of that texture there to try to bring that out and really make him look like he has some feathers. The texturing down here on his breast or his chest here is not as big as what it is on the sides and on the back. I did go over his wings probably a little bit heavier just to try to bring out those feathers on the side. And I am going to use a copper shade of paint to go over his beak and his eyes here. You'll see in a minute. But I completely go over him with the wax. And here you can see I'm just taking some of that metallic copper shade, and this is just one of the little apple barrel paints that I'd gotten from Walmart. And I'm going to go over his beak here, and then I'm going to hit some of his feet down there. I'm going to go over that with a little bit of copper, and then I'm going to trim around the outside of his eyes and then kind of along the tops of his ears with the copper. In my local thrift store, they have a craft section, so they always have some really awesome stamps, and I'm going to use these two smaller leaves here on the flower pot that I'm going to put my owl. And this little stamp here was only 50 cents. I'm using, again, one of those small flower pots from the Dollar Tree, and I spray painted it a barn door red. And then I just used some of the Waverly Plaster shade to put the stamp. That's the color I've used, and I put two of those little leaf stamps on my flower pot. I hot glued my owl there with my glue gun, and then I glued two of the little light leaves from the Dollar Tree on the back side of the owl, and then I'm just going to take some of the raffia and fill in. And here he is. I think he turned out really cute. You can see I just tied a knot in that raffia there and glued it in the front. I glued a couple of little beads that I had from some little floral items from the Dollar Tree. I did use some black paint there on the center of his eyes, and then I went around the circles there with a little bit of the wax and some of that copper shading. He's also really cute. I made a little nest though with the raffia. I wrapped all the way around the back side of him, kind of like he's sitting on a little nest there. And here you can see some of his wings are a little bit darker with the wax. I tried to make those a little bit darker than the rest of him. He's really sweet, really cute. Also gives you that little outdoorsy look if you like that kind of look for fall, or more of that farmhouse look for fall. And we're going to move on now to DIY number 3, and the rest of our DIYs all have some sweet little owls in them. And the Dollar Tree had these little cool boxes. The back of it slides open here, kind of like a little trinket box. And they had a couple different things on the front, but I like the little owl. I was kind of going with an owl theme here. And then I had some of these little wooden cubes from the Dollar Tree that I purchased previously and never used. So all I did here was I used some of the pumpkin Waverly paint and painted the trim there, the orange. I painted the owl, the plaster shade of white. And then I took that same metallic copper shade and made him a little beak there. I think he looks so much better with the beak. Not quite as spooky as he was looking without a beak. And I used some of the Waverly wax and a big brush, a big chunky brush, and just kind of went down the sides there, just really light. I didn't do that too heavy, just to give him a little bit of definition, so he'll look like he has a little bit of feathers, a little bit of contrast. I used the Waverly chalk paint, the blue shade, the ocean shade. I painted the sides of this box in the blue, and then the cube, I did the top blue too. And then I'll show you my little stamp here. I purchased this stamp from the thrift store too. I think this one was 50 cents, and I'm just using some of the plaster, the white shade here, and I'm going to use the stamp on both sides of the owl box and then on both sides of my cube box here. So just to give it a little bit more of some color. So this is the little cube. I used the pumpkin shade of orange and painted the whole cube the orange except the top. I painted that ocean shade of blue, and I put two stamps here of the same leaf. I put one on each side, and then I'm going to put my box setting on top here. And this is the sides of the box. Here you can see the blue, and you can see where I took that stamp, and I put that on both sides of my little box here. And then you can see the cube there. You can see the leaf on both corner sides, and then how the top there, I painted that blue. And he looks really cute just like this. I love the orange colors on here and that contrasting blue. But he also, I wanted to try to light him up. So you can't see him lit up here outside, but I'm going to move him inside here onto a little workbench so you can see I put a little light inside of him, and he looks really cute. Really gives him a nice effect. And I'll show you here. I just am using some of the lights from the Dollar Tree, and this will actually fit down inside the little box. I had to work it a little bit to get them to fit in there, but it'll slide back into the back part. And I just turned those lights on, and these are actually left from last year, so I can't believe they still work. But here he is. I think he looks really cute glowing there. You know, definitely owls. You like to see their little eyes lit up. So really nice effect here, and the orange really makes that pop with that pumpkin orange. And then we're going to move on. We have one more owl DIY. And I also found this little owl from the Dollar Tree, and he's really cute. He has lots of great texture here on him, so lots of little raised places on him. They also had lots of little skulls at my Dollar Tree, but those were the only two options that I had at mine, in any little white ceramic pieces for Halloween. And I'm going to paint him this dark toast shade with spray paint. And I just really played around with this owl. Here you can see where he's spray painted, and then I took some of the Waverly, the antique wax, and then I also took some of the white wax and just kind of played around to kind of bring out that texture on him. But I wanted his stand to be a turquoise color, so I wanted to bring some of that color into him and kind of mix that up. And this is a little stand or the little candle holder that I'm going to put on him. I found this at a thrift store for $1.50. And all I did was took a peacock shade of spray paint and spray painted that. And then took some of the antique wax there to kind of give it a little bit of a weathered look. And for my owl, I wanted him to have a little bit of an eyeball there, so I went in the center there, made him black, and then went around with the white wax, and then with the dark wax around his eyes, I used some of that same peacock shade and just really lightly went over some of the raised texture there in the center, just to kind of bring in those pieces or to kind of tie them in with that peacock shade. And there you can see the wings. I tried to do those a little bit heavier with the dark wax so you can kind of see that texture on the sides of him. And then here on the top, I just went over the top there with a little bit of the white wax and the dark wax just to give him lots of nice contrast and color. So here he is. He turned out really cute, and all I did was I glued him onto the candle holder. I took a little piece of that raffia and tied a little bow, and then I took two of the dark pieces of wheat from some floral pieces from the Dollar Tree there and glued those in the front, and I just snipped a little piece of one of the ends and glued that onto his little bow there around his neck. I used some of that raffia. I twisted that around him so he's kind of sitting on some, and then I glued some in a knot there in the front with a couple little floral beaded pieces I glued there onto the front. I like the dark colors is what I was trying to use with him. And then the little bit lighter shade of the raffia or the neutral shade, I think all that goes great up against that peacock shade. Really makes it pop out and give him a little bit of pop of color. He looks really cute, so let's move on to our final reveal. So here's all four of my DIYs. Leave me a comment. Let me know which one that you like the best. I think the little box, I love the way that little stamp looks on those leaves. I think that's probably my favorite one. If you're new to my channel, Southern gmoregals, we'd love to have you subscribe, turn your notifications on so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Also follow us on Instagram. You'll get some little sneak peeks of our upcoming videos. We want to say thanks again to Heidi Sonboul for hosting the challenge today. Don't forget to check out her channel and the playlist listed down in our description box. We want to thank everybody for watching. We hope we gave you some inspiration to get ready for fall. We also have our third Thursday thrift flip that'll be coming out in September. This will be the second one in the series on September the 16th. So mark that on your calendar so you don't miss out. Thanks everybody for watching. Now, if you followed any of our garden series, I wanted to just share this with everybody. One of our friends has this awesome grapevine, and if you've never seen Concord grapes, this is really a spectacular sight. This is about a 15-year-old grapevine, so they let us come over in the fall and pick grapes to make jelly with, and this is such an awesome grapevine because you can just walk up under the trellis here and clip the grapes off and let them fall down in your bucket or into a bowl to make, you know, your juice or jelly or whatever you want to make with it. But so I thought I'd share that with everybody, and you can see here that the grapes are green to start with there, but then they'll turn purple when they're ripe. So we're wanting the purple ones, and we can just walk up underneath this trellis here and clip these off. So it's really an amazing sight. They taste great, have a wonderful smell here. Some of the grapes here, when they go from, they'll turn green, and then they'll have a little bit of a slightly red shade, and then they'll turn into that purple. So I thought this was really an amazing sight. Now we have lots of muscadines here in the south, but this is not muscadines. This is a Concord grapevine, and this is you know, not something that's grown wild. This is something that you would have to start your own vine from. So, hey everyone, welcome to Southern gmoregals. I'm Elizabeth, and in our video today we have 4 budget-friendly DIYs that all have a fall Hey everyone, welcome to Southern Gmoregals. In our video today, we have 4 budget-friendly DIYs. I'm Elizabeth. She told me not to do my... Hey everyone, welcome